Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales The Lost Stories, a place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by your host, me, Tiger. Today we're diving back into The Color Matrix, a unique and ongoing story where Ace uses the Color Matrix to hijack and live 8 hours of his own physical time in the body of multiversal versions of himself. To make that seem a bit more simpler, think of Sword Art Online, The Matrix, and James Cameron's Avatar films. It's a very similar concept. You're using a machine to put your consciousness into a different body. But on this term, it's a multiversal level. Today we're diving back into the world of Power Rangers. Ace will find himself in a new Power Ranger universe. And this is also linking to a Three Ranger Bro Studio collab here in somewhat of some sort. Make sure you check out Power Rangers Dimension Jumping Chapter 1, Maybe Mentor, on the Three Ranger Bros Presents Nerds Through Comics podcast on Spotify. It's written and told by Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, my best friend and my business partner of the Three Ranger Bros, and he tells a story of Mark finding a new universe. And this story takes place in the same universe. So after you've listened to this, go check out that, because they are connected. Now that being said, let's dive in. The Color Matrix, World 8, Maybe Left Lifeless. I scrolled through the green universes on the Color Matrix. They were linked to the Morphing Grid. The Color Matrix was able to categorize universes into 3 groups. Universes where I was a Power Ranger of some kind, or used the Morphing Grid. Universes where I fought the Power Rangers, so I was a villain of some kind. And universes where I had no connections to either factions, I was just living in those worlds. I scrolled through the universe with no connections, and I found one that seemed very normal and dandy, so I picked that one. Daisy, what's wrong with my face? I mocked.
You seem happy in this universe, sir. You have a family, and you're massive supporters of the Power Rangers.
Daisy told me. Oh, so that's why I looked so weird. Nice. Nice to be able to see one of my versions have a nice life, I sighed. I loaded up the universe to the Matrix, I took my shirt off, I laid down on the bed and the needles punctured the back of my neck and my fingertips, and I drifted off into the darkness. I woke up to the noise of my children playing and the smell of pancakes filling the house. I got up and I got dressed and I headed down the stairs and I entered my kitchen to find my beautiful wife and my daughters. My wife placed down a plate of stacked pancakes. I walked over to her and gave her a kiss. She said good morning. I replied with a morning, and then I sat down and got stuck in. After 20 minutes, I sat there with a full stomach, and then I had to fight to climb out of my chair and get ready for work. I said goodbye to my wife and I gave my daughters a hug. I left the house and climbed into the car and I drove away as my family waved me off. As I drove to work, I sat there humming to myself. I worked in a safari. I loved my job. I was nicknamed the Animal Whisperer and I attuned to all the animals and their needs. I understood them, kind of connected with them. I parked my car in its spot and I climbed out my car and got straight to work. I was the person who had to tidy, clean, feed and groom all the animals. As my work partner was off sick, I had to then tend to all them by myself. I tended to Roxy, Ricky and Ronnie, the rhinos, first. I fed them and their meals was rather easy, and grooming them was a bit awkward with their rough skin. But they were fun company. Then it was Chase and Chance, the cheetahs. They ate meat, but not a lot as the other cats, so feeding them was easy. They loved being brushed, so that was fun. I also loved shooting their meals off in big slingshots and watching them run after them as fast as they could. The next was the lions, big ferocious looking beasts, but really just big cuddly kittens. These big boys and girls would knock me off my feet trying to hug me. They also had big slabs of raw meat for breakfast and I could just leave them to it. I gave them a brush down before visiting Kenny the koala bear. It climbed onto my arm and tried to lick my face as I was cleaning his hideout. Then I left him with some food. I then tended to the panda, Pat. Pat was awesome. He always shared his berries with me. After cleaning out his area, next was making sure the flamingos were all good. I walked up to their habitat and then suddenly everything disappeared. I fell several stories, smashing through a pane of glass and landed hard on the ground, a shard of glass penetrating the side of my stomach. I woke up and coughed violently. I looked down and the glass in my stomach had ragged through my clothes. My rag-like clothes had been drenched in my blood. I tried to climb to my feet, but every nerve in my body burnt like molten lava. I managed to stand. I was wobbly, I had no balance, and my head swirled around like it was being tucked away in a blender that was put on full blast. I looked around me, the sky was dark, everything was in rubble. My memories came back to me. The Power Rangers won with some huge drawbacks and the world went to hell then. Came back and tried to come even worse than hell. I survived whatever happened. I looked up and saw the small, sad excuse of a building where Jason Lee Scott once lived. There used to be a light from his fireplace, but now the whole place was in darkness. The portal opened right outside the building. I watched as 3 people stepped outside of it and looked around. One of them had a scanning-looking device. He aimed up in the sky, took some readings. I started wobbling forward, gripping my wound, and the shard of glass grinding into my stomach. Hey! Hey! No, wait! I'm down here! I called up to them, but I was too far away, and then the trio started talking to each other, and then they walked through the portal, and the portal closed behind them. I fell forward and landed on my knees, and I grunted in pain. You forgot about me! I screamed, my voice trailing off as the pain forced my voice box to break away. I climbed to my feet once again after several minutes. This time was even more difficult. I looked around, and the only thing that lay before me was destruction, thick, hot air, and the smell of burnt corpses. I had no food or water, and my wound was still bleeding. I managed to start walking. Like a child's swing set, my legs just swung back and forth. I hunched over, which eased some of the pain, and off I went, walking, waiting for dehydration or the pain to kill me. I ventured on. I had no idea how much time had passed, but I kept on pushing until I came across something. Something huge. The ground had become soft and the area was clear of any sign of civilization at all. It was mostly just all grass, but before me was a gigantic yellow saber-toothed tiger zord. It was laid on its side. It was battered and broken, slightly rusted, and there were signs of it being there for a very long time. I saw an opening in its chest and I climbed in. I stood inside of the Zord corpse and felt a slight breeze, like someone had turned on a huge fan. I stumbled in and found a big puddle of water on the inside. I knelt down, scooped up, and I started sipping on it. It tasted a little funny, but my dry tongue did not care. I found the cockpit. Obviously, it was on its side, so walking through it was a bit of a stumble. I searched for a medikit, but all I could find was the destroyed chairs. I pulled one of the cushion sections off and placed it on the floor, and I sat on the cushion. Somehow, they were somewhat comfortable. I sat there, my pain was now incredibly intense, and I did not want to pull out the shard of glass because I knew that'd make it worse, and I'd lose a lot more blood. Then suddenly, someone came walking up to me. They were black and white, like he came out of an old black and white movie. He looked like an 1980s British smartly dressed Winston Churchill-like fellow. Morning, lad. Looks like you got yourself in a pickle. I am David Churchmeister, the man said with a grin. He knelt down beside me. You're not real, I muttered. Oh, of course not. This outfit was updated years ago, my fine fellow, and this is not my colour. David chuckled. Pain must have got to me then, I grunted. That, or the funny-tasting chemical you took a sip of, David said. What? The water. There was something in the water? I questioned. Well, no. Why would Zordon, from the leader of the Mighty Morphing Power Rangers and the Zeo Rangers, have a puddle of water, you blimmin' moron? David snapped. Fuel or something. I just drank Power Rangers' exclusive version of diesel. Ew. I barked. I coughed and rubbed my sleeve on my tongue. Beverages aside, how is your side? The glass. How's the window pane? Get it? Glass? Window pane? That was funny. David asked me mockingly. It hurts. Incredibly, I muttered. Notice your eyelids, your heartbeat, your fingertips yet? David asked me. And he was right. My subconscious was sending me messages through a black and white British wannabe. And he was incredibly correct. My eyelids were really heavy, my heartbeat had slowed down, and I could feel it in my ears. And I could no longer feel my hands. It was like my fingertips had been turned off, or they were just incredibly numb. So here's the kicker. You're dying, Ace. Could have killed you, would be the wound. But you had a slight chance. You could have found something or someone, or hell, you could have even had a miracle. You could have healed yourself, sewn yourself back together, and then you could have lived. And yet, you decided to drink something foreign to you, and it's killing you from the inside. At least you dying is inside a massive Zord. Come on, that's awesome! The other ranger climbed out of it, and died, like, several ways that way. So now you're gonna die inside and rot away, and your skeleton will phase into the walls of the saber-toothed tiger Zord. That's kinda dark for this chap, so I should bid myself farewell, David muttered. Then the strange black and white fellow bowed to me, tipped his hat to me, and walked away. I could have sworn he phased away, disappearing mid-walk. I then found my eyelids trying to shut. I finally stopped trying to fight it. I let go of the glass, and I let my arms just sit next to me. My body slumped against the wall. I felt my lungs contract. Maybe I was coughing, I couldn't actually tell anymore. I stopped caring. The pain finally eased. I felt my heart slow down to a point it stopped. My body died. And then everything went dark. I woke up and bolted off the bed. I crashed on the ground. I coughed violently, my eyes watering. My soul felt like it was ripped out of me, chucked around and shoved back inside of me, upside down or something. I sat there clutching my chest. My lungs felt incredibly tight.
Are you okay, sir?
Daisy asked me. What the fuck was that? I barked.
That version of Ace died. You died, sir.
Daisy muttered. Yeah, I felt it. I died. I felt everything. That was so weird. Alien almost, I said as I gasped for air. Suddenly, one of the white panels that made the dome walls opened and a nozzle extended out and sprayed me in the face with water. I wiped my face with the shirt that I chucked onto the table next to me. Thanks, I muttered.
Sorry, sir. I reacted the best way I could. Your reactions led me to believe you're having a panic attack.
Daisy told me. I know. Sorry, I don't get any of this. I sighed. I stood up and went for a shower. I stayed in the shower for a very long time, trying to wash away my memories of the universe that I just witnessed. And there we have it, guys. Another intriguing world due to the color matrix. Again, after this, make sure you check out Nerds Through Comics, the podcast found everywhere you find your podcast, and make sure you check out the Power Rangers Dimension Jumping Chapter 1, Maybe Mental, because that is the same universe. It's a really good chapter. It's written by Mark the Quarter Ranger, so make sure you check it out. Check out the third member of the Three Ranger Bros, Cosplay Jid637, with his podcast, Power Rangers Universe 19. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and of course, check out the rest of Tiger Tales. There's the Tiger Tales channel, the Tiger Tales Game Over channel, and the Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins channel. All three of them host fan fictions and stories. The third one I mentioned is all original content and all original stories. You'll find all sorts of stuff spanning from all different fandoms I'm a huge fan of. Then make sure you check out Tiger Tales X, a different Tiger Tales channel, but this one is all crossovers, where I get two specific, or maybe more specific, fandoms I'm a fan of, and cross them over in official crossovers, so there's no OCs or anything in there. That being said, huge shout out to the Zero to Hero podcast, If You Give a Dad a podcast, and a huge shout out to the Tiger Nexus podcast. Make sure you check out A Crown on TikTok and the Author's Crown YouTube channel, his YouTube channel where he's uploading his own stories. Without A Crown, half of the stories I've been telling on the Color Matrix wouldn't even exist. If you want to hear more Color Matrix stories, then make sure you check out Tiger Tales Game Over specifically, because there are more Color Matrix on that YouTube channel where it's all video game stuff. And again, Acrown helped me out there as well. Thank you everybody for listening, and of course, I shall see you guys in the next one.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.